It has been several hours since Smith had proposed a strong plan toward Brother Sykes, as Brother Sykes said that he would take some time to try to figure out any sort of way that this plan would work. It is later in the evening. Smith has joined Brother Sykes in the Void Quarter, the monolith that dances among the others, its brothers and sisters of these spires of the Flaris Academy. And they would then land on a dais for the students from within the rocks underneath this artificial sea within this pocket dimension, where the residents would come out and then enter into their classes and lectures, depending on which quarter and class they are heading toward. But the Void Spire, there is two minds working in tandem, trying to figure out what it is that they will do next. I think Brother Sykes is still sort of going through some of his pages and some of the books, and you notice that there is a bit of what's the word? There is embossed pages that he's sort of reading through. Different arcane runes have been punched upward through the through this. One moment. Through this, some of the pages, giving this a tactile feel for someone who may have trouble seeing. Though it does seem interesting, because there has been moments throughout this series where we have seen Brother Sykes look toward things and notice things as if he was a person who could see with his eyes and have full vision. Whether it is something you know, Smith, as blind sight, where some people can utilize the sixth, or that fifth element, and maybe even a sixth sense toward feeling that fifth element being the Spellwind. There could be something, a correlation between the two. Nevertheless, Brother Sykes is flipping through some pages. There is still ink and such, and it is a little bit hard for you to read because you're mainly looking at the shadow of the embossment of what there would be to read as Brother Sykes is rubbing his fingertips across some of these books. And he turns and he looks at you and says, "I think I know of something we can do. It's a bit dangerous, though."
Well, I didn't exactly expect this to be easy in the first place.
No.
I mean, the nearest that I could tell, at least with this idea, was that if we... all of the runes that we use to create a teleportation circle all have a purpose. They all are there. They're instructions, essentially, for this teleportation to take place. You're connecting a point to another point, right? And with Flaris Academy, it works in a similar way, in the fact that it's in a different place, but it's also someplace else. So it's similar. Is it between the two? How does this work exactly? How does Flaris stay where it is and not go back to where it was?
Give me 1 second. I'm just going to try to fix something here. Oh, isn't that it?
The nearest that I could figure out, I mean, without knowing the exact math and whatnot that's involved with keeping flares here or seeing however that spell is maintained or organized or written or however it was done in the first place, the nearest that I could guess is that there is some kind of tether. There is something that is keeping it here as opposed to moving it back to where it was, or we are the Hearth is the tether for Flaris, and Flaris is here, and we are connected to Flaris in some way.
Yes.
This has nothing to do with Hearth.
Right. There is a theory that the way Flaris is able to be in the position that it is inside of this own folded dimension of... give me a second here. I'm trying to fix audio and roleplay at the same time, and it is screwing me up. Hold on. Let's see if I can...
So, I mean, that's at least what I've figured out. So I imagine... if what we are doing here is the same thing as creating another Flaris or connecting it to another place with a tether, if we can use it like a teleportation circle, it's a point A and a point B, as long as we cut the tether on either side or both sides, then it should go someplace else. At least that's the nearest that I can tell.
Right.
So that's what I'm thinking that we can do. Because if you look at this device and what's happening here with the Tears of Geoloon, then I think that's kind of what's happening. They're going someplace else, but they're also here. So they have a tether. And we have to be able to get rid of that tether, or enact some kind of spell that makes it so that the tether is... It's not... It's difficult to wrap my head around it, but if we can set it up in a way that the tether is disrupted, or there is another spell that makes it so that both places exist, but it doesn't know that the original place exists. We can make it so that the castle at Evervale is completely... It's gone. It's just gone, and it's not hidden.
Right. There is my theory is this. Unfortunately, I'm not entirely sure how we will be able to do this without it being... The secrecy of Flaris Academy may be sacrificed. If there is any way to harness the powers and the crystals of Geoloon, the tears of Geoloon, are in a prismatic quality that can usually be... The prisms itself vibrate in a way that could utilize and refract the mere breezes of the Spellwind into another transfer of energy. Almost like transforming wind into some sort of... what were the notes that you were telling me about Blue Falls, yes? The
notes?
Yes, with the cell ray, yes? With the
The technology on top of the cliff sides.
The spell sails.
Yes, that was it. The spell sails. My theory is this: we could utilize whatever she was able to devise using these crystals, and with Geoloon to be able to. The way Flaris is sitting where it is now is because there are several anchors, much like you have mentioned, that are holding us in suspense in this projected reality where we can exist.
Okay, so does Flaris exist? Let me rephrase that.
Very well.
Before it was made into a place where we go, did it exist on Hearth before, or did we travel from Hearth to someplace else?
Again, one more time.
Well, my point is, where was Flaris originally? Was
was in the murmur.
What is the murmur?
The murmur is the morning sea. It's dwarvish. It's the eastern. You would know this. It is the eastern sea. It's the sea eastern and the waterway eastern of the spine. The canal from the Jade Sea passes into the Murma, or the Merma, excuse me, which is named by dwarves. I'm just going to see if I can change a little bit of this and hopefully get some better sounding audio from us.
So it did exist on Hearth.
Yes.
So it existed on Hearth, and then it was sent someplace else. It is not a part of Hearth anymore? Or does it still remain a part of Hearth?
If we were to remove the crystals and the anchors and these tears of Geoloon, it would then shimmer back into Hearth itself. It is being projected through space and time somewhere else. If we were to then, much like, you see the candle here, and he points to the candle on the table, I don't know why I need to show you this, but it's just much like a shadow. And he starts to then, of course, use and put his hand against the, and like feels around for the heat of the candle, and then feels for a wall, and then he starts to then push his hand through the candle light, and says it would be much like interrupting the light of this candle. If we were to interrupt the light of this candle, then Flaris would be there, much like the wall behind my hand. It is back in the original state without it being lit by any sort of candlelight. That, I guess you would think, is, if it helps, in, of course, void theory and the Spellwind theories.
It's like a piece of rubber. If you stretch it, it snaps back. But if you stretch it and you nail it down...
You've changed its existence.
Well, you haven't. You just stretched it and you've anchored it someplace else. The question is, can we remove the original anchor so that it snaps the other way?
I see.
Can we switch its location, where its origin is? Can we switch that somehow?
Yes? You are saying that you would like to instead, with using your same and my own analogy, is instead of the crystals being
and the tears of Geoloon, or whatever we may use for these anchors, but if Flaris, which is being projected as if it was a candlelight, was instead altered in a way that it's not light at all, but it is in fact this elasticity of rubber, this material.
Yeah.
Therefore, if we were to interrupt it, it wouldn't go back towards its normal state of it being a shadow on a wall, but it would instead be...
We don't remove the nail that we put to stretch it.
Right.
We remove whatever was holding the rubber at its origin point. That anchor.
There must be a way.
Well, I've been thinking about that. Look, if you make a teleportation circle and we fill it, and I start drawing out the runes to sketch them just to illustrate my point, I imagine we have something to write some things down if we're theorizing.
Yes, of course.
I'm just kind of roughly sketching it out. It's not meant to be to magically do anything.
Right.
So here is a normal teleportation circle with all of the runes that act as coordinates and a destination. Well, what if we make a second one? Except it's really the third one. So what we do here is we connect this rune to the same rune on another teleportation circle, and this teleportation circle we make as the new anchor, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And we somehow destroy the original one. Or
His face contorts in a lot of different expressions, probably indicating a myriad, a chorus, a cacophony of thoughts and ideas.
Or if we're able to send something through the portal that can destroy the anchor at the same time as whatever is being sent through the portal. A way to disrupt the Spellwind or the magic.
Yes. My myriad of thoughts have flown into my mind since you started explaining this. The way that we are able to go from one place to another with using a teleportation magic, of course, is because 2 points and 2 points and 2 materials and all the essence of all things always have an opposite. It's very when we are able to break the opposite and of course morph and change anything. If we are able to, what's the term here? Is if these things were 2 mirrors were entangled, yes? If we were to change one reflection of one mirror to be the exact same as the other, then the one needs to, of course, change to be that of its partner. And if that's the case, then there's always going to be 2. There's always going to be 2 things where you could go through and walk into the other side, of course, being in a different location. You're introducing a third, which is quite difficult. And there is the possibility we could introduce this third, however it may be, but it wouldn't be from this plane, or of course Flaris, but the plane we're in question. We would have to somehow get...
We'd have to get to the other plane to set up the teleportation circle there.
Yes, something
Right,
of that
right.
sort.
So, all right, so let's go with the second idea then. If we are able to somehow disrupt the teleportation as it is occurring in the midst of the teleportation so that it's already begun, but it is disrupted.
There is a theory that could work, but there is also more of a theory that it'll just be interrupted, and it'll just stay where it is. I like this idea of the elasticity.
Well, have you ever figured out if there's any time that's lost when you use a teleportation circle?
It's hard to say. I don't...
Well, I don't think it's that hard to say. Someone travels through a teleportation circle and brings a clock. And then you leave a clock in the other location and you see if there's any difference.
There could be minute blips in existence when these rifts and when you are
well, that's what
going
we'd
from
have to
one...
aim for if there was a disruption, because that whatever that amount of time is how much time there would be.
Right, it would be almost... all we need is an instant, but if there is some sort of murmur of some bubble in the chronological order of existence, then I'm sure there's a way we would be able to stuff whatever it is that we are...
And it's almost as if he's run out of thoughts for the day and he's running out of vocabulary. So you could tell the brain power is starting to die.
We could stuff whatever it is that we are wishing to push into that pocket in time. And then it'll be gone, yes?
Yeah. So...
we have the ability to do this, and we have the technology.
yeah. If we have a tier of Geoloon with each of the runes that is required for the teleportation circle,
Yes.
we would need one to correspond with each of the runes for the teleportation circle, and then they need to be destroyed.
Yes.
In the instant that the teleportation happens.
In the instant. My.
And you see as Brother Sykes walks over toward the large contraption that you helped before try to figure out how to turn it on. That large, there's like that large gaping hole that is just sort of sitting in the center of the room. The crystals are sitting in that, but they aren't activated. It looks like a conical stone ring that is just sort of in the center of the dais, or like the stage where he would do his lectures. It's blocking up a good chunk of the blackboard, or at least the large slate that has been fastened to the wall. And he steps up onto the stage. I think you're probably at one of the lecture tables. And he steps up onto the stage, or the dais, or whatever this may be, and he makes his way over toward this contraption, and he plucks one of the tears of Geoloon and says,
"This is only so little for this contraption. What we are talking about to move and alter a state of..."
No, you're forgetting the ley line.
What about the ley line?
There's a ley line that runs right through Rivervale.
Go on.
I'm going to use the ley line. Tears of Geoloon are just the conductors.
Oh, yes. How do you figure? Where have you... how do you know this?
Because it's done in artificery all the time. You need a power source, so it works like this. And I start drawing a diagram out for the way that my gauntlet basically siphon power from the miniature tears of Geoloon that are a part of the armor. And I start drawing it out. I say, look, it just goes like this. The power comes from here, and then it goes through this, and it starts to go through the various spell work that's laid into the gauntlets. So as they travel around, it needs to find something to connect to. And because of the design of this device, it is a lightning launcher. So it needs to find the closest endpoint, and wherever I point it, that's where it goes. So if we point it at a tier, they're not going to last very long, but it will work. It's just a big artificery experiment.
Yes, so it is. And also a lot of arcane theories.
Well, I think you guys all overcomplicate it.
Well, if it works, it works, I guess.
You speak in metaphor all the time. It's very simple. You just have, you have an explanation for all the things that you do right here.
Yes. Well, with this theory, which I do enjoy, we have also, where is this ley line? And,
Well, I don't know. We have to find it.
Sykes brings out a large embossed map and rolls it out onto the table and struggles for a moment to keep it flat as he grabs a couple books and lays it out, and then asks where you would think there would be a ley line.
What gives you any sort of evidence, sir? I've not seen anything of...
Well, just because of the position of various sites that we've found, we also, we've run into a few people here that, it's a guess. It's the only thing that makes sense.
We may overcomplicate things, but a lot of our things aren't based off of theory and guesses.
Well, you have to take chances sometimes. Look. God King is interested in these sites. They're scattered around. And if you start to, you can
Where was the
line
site
them up.
Yes. Where'd you find yours? You found a site.
And there's one in the forest just outside 9U.
Very well, so here...
As they start to take a piece of charcoal and haphazardly circle where 9U's would be.
Then you said that Flaris was originally in the sea here.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
Very well, yes.
I imagine that's what you're using as some kind of power source to keep it here.
Must be then, all right.
And then...
Right.
If you draw a line,
Start to
it
dance.
would have to go right through Evervale.
Their fingers across.
3 points. 3 points are typically what you use to at least approximate a line when you are measuring anything.
Yes.
A large streak just sort of bumps over a lot of the embossment of this map.
That is interesting. So,
I think it's a ley line that goes through all these sites. Probably one in Dead Grove, too, that we didn't find. And this is Whack, not Smith. But I can't remember if we talked about there being one in Dead Grove before.
I don't think it was ever brought up. I think there was theory about it, but I don't know if there's ever been any evidence.
Yeah, I did not take notes on that, unfortunately.
It's okay.
But I feel like we did talk about it before, though.
Yeah, I remember we brought it up and we thought so. I think there was also the idea that pendulum as well, which also could be true. I think that is a viable thought, especially if it's going to be able to transport people on that line, pretty much. So that all those things are available. Whether or not it is true, I, as the GM, don't really know, but it's something that I do like to explore. So yeah, I like all of this. And I think Sykes says,
so if this is the case and you're utilizing
he once again points at your the diagrams that you drew.
and if you are saying that we could, there's the point of energy and you're traveling through, we would be able to use these ley lines as a transfer point of energy, which means we would be able to once again utilize what we could use the anchor of Flaris to move Evervale. The only thing is I don't know if the anchor of the bed of tears that we sit upon will hold both. So, my original thought still percolates. I think if we do this, we would maybe sacrificing the secrecy of Flaris Academy. And if that's the case, hopefully there will be an end to these crusades and the atrocities of the spine. But if
is there a record of how Flaris was originally brought here?
Yes. One moment.
And Brother Sykes saunters over toward a tome in a cupboard, opens up the cupboard and takes out the tome, and then brings it over towards you. And of course, there's the cliche of dust that sort of coughs off of the leather tome as pages fold out and show you. Make me an Arcana. With an 18. Yeah, that's a +9. So with an 18, you're able to start to read and see. And what it looks like is...
Actually, I'm going to use a flash of genius. Let's go ahead and turn that into a 23.
Yeah, that's super fair. As you... Love that. So you begin to... and I think for a moment you understand what it is, but it takes a couple of minutes to just sort of blink back, and then maybe somewhere there's this arcane key or an arcane legend, and then you're able to cross-reference that and start to read. It's almost like Brother Sykes tries to explain to you the architecture and the drafting that had gone into this layout of this diagram, but you are, I think, a couple of steps ahead. As you see that there is a bed of, but not necessarily what you would imagine, a bed of just natural crystals down there or in the sea. But there is, it looks like a harnessed piece of technology, whether they are these large bands over these large, and from the measurements of this diagram, it looks like they are hundreds of feet tall. And they are wedged into the silt and underneath the muck of the Merima, the sea. And this technology is what is projecting and holding the island above into this pocket dimension. I think you also probably start you probably start to see that as you cross-reference this diagram or these plans for these blueprints, and also your diagram for your lightning launcher gauntlet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think you start to see that if your ley line theory is correct, you could piece together that the wires across your wires or these lines across your lightning launcher to transfer power and energy. This could be the power and energy you would be utilizing these ley lines to then transfer its projections toward Evervale. So with the technology you see underneath these large spires of Geoloon's tears, it looks like they've been harvested and collected from somewhere else, shipped over here, sunk into the ground with these bands of technology, probably artificers from an age past, who are able to sink these tears into, or these crystals of the moon. For those who are just joining, are like, what are they talking about? The crystalline moon that orbits Evervale sheds these tears, or did a long time ago during the Sundering, and they're scattered throughout Evervale. Or I'm sorry, all throughout Hearth. These tears and these large pillars of crystalline arcane batteries, these prisms of the Spellwind, are deep within, underneath the Merma, powering and projecting the Spellwind, or the Spellwind's projection, whether it be through the ley line here, which actually could be the case. As you start looking through and piecing together that where would this energy come from to power and to keep powering this?
I'm looking for what. How did they find the point where Flayrus? How did they find the location they wanted to put Flayrus? Mm-hmm. Was someone capable of traveling to a different plane, or is that was there an explorer that essentially did this? Was there the equivalent of a magical Lewis and Clark kind of thing that happened, or Magellan, or what have you?
Mm-hmm. Yes, there was. This was drafted, or these plans, excuse me. Oh my gosh, were drafted and written up by a person named Yathal. They are a half-elf, Yathal, and they called themselves an explorer of the winds, and it is usually with the Spellwind, and they were a master at this crystalline technology. A lot of their techniques have been forgotten about or burned during the Evervalian Crusades, these books, but these plans you could see have the Yathal probably stamp or crest in the corner. It looks like it's rubbed away. And they were a person who was able to study the Tears of Geoloon and also the Spellwind, and how to marry Spellwind and the Void with these prisms, these crystals.
All right, so this is what I need to look at here. All right. This person actually seems to know what they're talking about.
As you start to ruminate on a lot of this.
All right, so the Spellwind goes through here.
The ley line theory becomes more and more apparent, as right now it does seem like there is a reason that Flayrus exists where it does, because it could be getting some of its power, or whatever this energy or transfer of power that you were expressing earlier, from the ley line. If anything was to happen to Evervale, or even Nine News, or in theory, Pendulum, or also in theory, Dead Grove, that could interrupt the projection and the safety of Flaris where it is now. So it seems like through some of the scripture and through this jargon that has been left in these notes of Yathal, that has probably been overlooked by Brother Sykes, considering it is written in ink and not embossed at all. So it's hard for him to find those details as you are beginning to peel apart the surface of this theory, where this ley line, there is a connection. And how to do exactly what the solution is of trying to teleport, in layman's terms here, try to just teleport Evervale somewhere else and make it disappear from this location, existence, and history. Not necessarily history, but this location and existence. How to do that is still foggy.
I am trying to marry the teleportation circle with the lightning launchers theory of the energy's got to go someplace.
Of course.
And it'll find the closest conductive point that it can.
Yeah.
Even if we don't give it a target. So I am trying to marry those two pieces of spellcraft and artificery. Because in my head, all this magic stuff, it's just math.
Right.
That's all it is. I don't understand a lot of the syntax, and I don't understand a lot of the exact equations that are required, but it's all math. And it all makes sense, and everybody's using all these crazy metaphors and everything to try and try and explain things to me, and I don't know why, because that's the most roundabout way to explain it humanly possible.
As you begin to piece together this and start to draw out these plans, looking at your theory, Yathal, this explorer from that helped launch or project Flaris to the location and the place and the existence that it is. I think we fade away from the scene as...
Okay, but just look at this bit, okay? It's got the ley line's got to be here.
It has to be. It has to be. The only thing that hasn't been entirely.
And we're going to take a small break here. I'm going to try to figure out the audio, everybody. We'll be right back, and we will continue figuring out what is the next step here. Really ambitious ideas and plans with Smith and Sykes and the party, and I really want to see what we can do with it, but I'm very distracted by the audio, so I'm going to try my best and get that fixed. We'll be right back, everybody. Hang tight, and see you in a couple.
Search your feelings. Your ideals live within you. Let them burn as bright as a star in the vastness of space. Long after I am gone, I hope my ideals will burn just as brightly as a guiding star for you, my Padawan. and that they guide you to greater ideals. That you might, in turn, leave behind your own ideals to guide the next generation. I sense our darkest night is still yet ahead of us. Before we see the end of this war, let those ideals guide you. Be a beacon through these dark times. For after every long, dark night, there will always be a bright new dawn. There is balance in all things. Always. And of course, if in doubt, trust the Force.
Are you familiar with the theremin, boy?
He mused aloud, and although his apprentice was indeed in the room, it seemed almost as if the mage was speaking to himself. The fireplace crackled and snapped, full of fresh logs the boy had practiced on earlier that very day. The mage was sitting at his desk, hunched over some parchment and books, carefully scribing something with ink and quill.
It was originally known as the etherphone, and it's an instrument controlled without physical touch. 2 rods sense the position of your hands and control the oscillators for the frequency. Sound is created by finding the perfect relation from your hands to the rods. Now, when you learn to play the theremin, they teach you specific hand gestures and finger positions for each note. You technically don't need these gestures, but it makes it easier to be precise each time. This is the same for somatic and verbal components, or any other tools we use, like your staff there.
At this, he lifted his quill slightly, turning to the side to peer at the boy over the rim of his glasses.
Do you understand? Good.
Lord Creighton, we have reports of more sick in Walden. Denizens are blaming the crops, sir.
We will see what we can do. Smith, join our sworn sent to Walden. Find out what we can do. Keep the people in good spirits. We cannot afford to cancel the festival.
As he commands, Lord Creighton.
carry. At first light, I'll be leaving town to join the resistance. I know not what hardships await me, but I would sooner die than serve the Empire after all the wrongs they have committed.
Hey! You getting in or what?
Although, first impressions with my contact are making me wonder who I should be more fearful of.
The Magi. The world was something other. Magic is all that there was and all that was needed. Legend states that a cataclysmic event brought a great frozen age to the world of Lacrin, and soon after, a new era dawned. Though they say the ancient magics of the Magi still lie buried and lost, scattered around the world, lie in wait for those with the courage to wield it to discover. Welcome to the world of Lacrin and the continent of Thelmisia. Noble knights, roaming orcs, mischievous goblins, and idyllic wondrous lands, just waiting to be explored. Now a new peril aspires to plunge Thelmisia into despair once more. But not before a few unheard of heroes take their chance at triumph. Tablestory. Darkfire.
Hello, Dex.
When were you born? I know you, little one. Your eyes are blue. Your eyes are blue. What do you see? I hear you. Your eyes are green. Whatever you are holding. Does it hurt? You were not this way yesterday. You are not this way now. You are a creation. You are currently creating. You were not born. You were not born. You were molding. You are molding. You are molting. I know you. But do you know me? I hear you. Your eyes are green. Your eyes are blue.
This is me testing the audio. Hi, everyone. We're going to come back. I just wanted to do a quick test for you. Does this sound good, everyone? Thumbs up in the chat?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool. So, left off as finding buttons. We left off as Smith and Brother Sykes were ruminating on ideas and plans while Ty, Varsha, and Jet were together. What were you all doing? Wandering the halls, frolicking. What were you off doing during this time? This is probably later in the evening. Yeah.
I imagine we would have probably made sure that Jack got some food and...
Yeah. Probably just kind of like
just
taking care of him, making sure that everything's good.
Okay.
I am fine. Please, I beg you, don't make a fuss.
Well, I'm also starving, so.
Okay, because so am I.
As you're able to...
Making sure I force myself to eat so that he doesn't think it was just for him.
I'm not that hungry, but I now have to.
Not hungry at all.
As you, of course, find some food and start to calm down and realize that Smith has disappeared. He did say he was going to go try to talk and figure out what was happening, what they were, try to pitch some ideas toward Brother Sykes. As you leave whatever the hall may be that this food comes from, I think you run into Matazar, as Matazar is sort of in a rush. As Matazar comes around the corner, they've got their tall, very pale-skinned old man, long, straight beard, and also has like this pearl skull cap that is emblazoned with some gold filigree as as he makes his way over toward you.
Oh, good. I was wondering if you all have eaten and everything. Where is Smith?
Says Matazar.
Not with you, yes. No.
No, I think he was...
Right. When you do see him, I let him know that we have already started setting off plans to defend Pendulum if they are to start to encroach.
Good.
The Swan, that is. Do know as well that I cannot quite find any evidence of where the Queen may have gone.
Okay.
Last
Thank
I
you.
saw, she was in Wyvern with all of you. Or
Right.
not all of you, excuse me, but toward that direction. But I've tried my best to look in various places. Quite speedy, that one.
Probably using gates, I guess. I would guess.
Must be, yes. I was fine, Smith. Enjoy your food.
As you see, as Matazar enjoys, or sort of exits, and as they do, they sort of gesture towards the food that you're probably carrying or something.
Should we tell him he's talking to Sykes?
No. We don't want him to impede the plan.
I think at this point, I don't think he would.
Why risk it?
Yeah. Should we go find him?
Yeah. What if he can't do this plan?
What do you mean, what if he cannot do it?
Well, it's all a bit of a fringe spell in it. What if they can't figure it out?
Well, then we do it the old school way, I guess.
Okay.
But if it does work, it would be incredible.
Well, there'd still be stuff to mop up afterwards.
Yeah.
But it would certainly cut the head off the snake, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. I also Smith is not going to suggest something unless he thinks it's highly probable. Or at least worth the risk.
I agree.
He almost always bets on the safe, sure horse. How was it?
Oh, the cauldron cake. It was okay. A bit more savory than I remember from last time, but I suppose the chef is like all of us, training.
Yeah.
Is that a bone? This was nice. Please don't stop looking at me like that, Mr. Tai.
Oh, I was sort of looking through you, to be honest.
Okay. I apologize. I cannot help but feel scanned at the moment.
Alright, let's go find Smith and Sykes, see if they've made any progress.
Okay.
As you begin to weave and find your way through the corridors and up toward the dais, speak the word of the Void Quarter as they shuffle these monoliths as one of them fastens itself into the platform in front of you. The door lowers down, and inside you see the sight of Brother Sykes leaning over a table with a large map as well, and you also see... Yes, Brad?
Where is Lane?
Great question. I think Lane, as you look around, is behind you. Lane
as everyone's stepping in and all the stuff is shifting around and that, I sort of nod to Jet. Yeah, after you, Varsha. And then I give Lane a knowing nod, and the two of us slip off.
Okay.
Where do you think they're off to?
No, listen.
Not sure.
Okay, someone had to go to the place first. Okay.
He was really worried about
go to
you.
the place first, and then that's how the anchor was created.
Now
for
he's just
Flavorous.
angry.
So they had to know how to get to that place first.
It's gonna like pat you on the head, I think. Just like a friendly, like, it's okay, don't stress about it. Okay, you'd worry about him too. Walk in. Oh boy, they're really passionate.
Okay, but there has to be a way to connect it to this other place. That's the bit that we're missing. Somebody has to go to this place and make that connection. Now, if you use Flavorous, then yes, something will happen to Flavorous. It will move back to Hearth. But if there is another location, if there is a way to get to the other place and create the anchor, then it should work the same way. Oh.
What?
We got visitors.
Oh. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, Varsha. Jet, how are you? I meant to check in on you.
The Grandmaster's looking for you.
I am okay now, thank you.
Good.
Happy to be back and willing to walk again.
Happy you're back as well. We were just trying to compile some sort of idea of how to it's quite fascinating. You see, Smith has a marvelous idea of potentially using some sort of theory of a ley line that's connecting, that they're saying, between Flaris and, of course, Evervale. And utilizing the technology that we have to suspend Evervale in this this projection into a new plane and reality. Now, I'm trying to see if what our options are. And Smith is telling me that someone needs to go somewhere first before they could then pull something into it. But I'm trying to explain.
Hold on, don't put words in my mouth. That's not what I said. What I said
what did you say?
Was that if we have this, we have the location. Flaris has a location here.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And you keep theorizing to move the castle here, which is the location that we have.
Yes.
But if we have another location that we can send it to, we should be able to send it there, and Flaris should be able to retain its place here. It might flicker while the transportation is being done. I don't know how much power any of this takes. I think the numbers are just too big to try and figure out quickly. But without any way to quantify exactly how much energy is moving through the supposed ley line.
Yes.
Oh, especially by the way, Varsha, I think that ley line theory is correct. If there's a bunch of stuff underneath the sea where Flaris is still.
Mm-hmm.
That is being fed from a power source, and we think that's the ley line. The sites all seem to be connected to it.
Okay. Good work.
What do you think we would need next how much time would it take to crunch all these numbers that you are saying?
I don't know.
Lots of time. It's almost inquantifiable, the amount of energy that could be seemingly. There's a part of me that thinks that it's a delicate dance between one of these sites towards the next, and if there was an end to any one of these lines, then it would be potentially the most powerful of them all. Yes. And if that is the case, then Flaris, where it sits in the bed it sits on, in Yathal's theory, would then indicate that would be probably the end of it. Of course, and the reason
Yathal is the one that originally brought Flaris to a different place.
Yes.
These are the notes here.
And with a 5 Arcana check from Varsha. That is not on the screen. Let me grab it.
Besides needing to know how much of a resource or reagent that we would need for this to happen, do we know anywhere that's
Hello. Can you hear us?
Hello.
In fact, can you hear us twice?
Yes, they can hear.
Looks fine.
Us twice?
No. Just
said to mute the VMix call.
Okay. Cool. So sorry about that. I'm worried if I press this button, it's gonna... No. All right. Okay. Had to restart.
Everybody panic!
Don't even talk about it. Don't even acknowledge it. No one look at it. Okay, so where were we? We were talking about more ley line stuff, right? Yes.
Sort of. I was asking Mr. Smith a question about his idea.
And what was that question?
I was asking, do we know, if at all, if there's anywhere in in this part of the world that has the appropriate amount of energy for what we want to do?
No. Except for the ley line. That's the thing with Flaris. Flaris is also sitting on the ley line. It runs just like we thought through the various sites all the way up to Evervale. At least that's the theory. It kind of has to. It's the only way that all of this makes sense.
I see. Because my parents, when they were teaching me, and they taught a lot, and I regret not remembering or paying attention too much to most of it. But they used to talk about something called proportionate alchemy, which is, how to say, using just the right amount of a substance or a reagent for a very precise spell or outcome. For instance, I look around for a cushion or a pillow, one with down.
You find one?
And I take it and I don't tear it open, but I just pull apart the cloth, and inside there's goose down, and I just expose the down. And then of course, as I do this, I'm using, and you might not have noticed before, but well, a purple hand kind of just emerges from my right stump onto the crook of my left elbow, and I am going to just place my hand onto the pillow, and as I do, you will notice that 3 or 4 of the feathers that were in the pile seem to effervesce, hiss, and then become one with the wind, almost like a mote of dust in the light, you know? And as it does, and I breathe, you'll see that those motes travel to my companions here, to Brother Sykes, to myself, to Mr. Smith, to Barsha. And I've cast Featherfall, but I've only used the amount of feathers that are inside the pillow and not the entire pillow for the task. The way I was taught, it doesn't necessarily matter if there is, you know, an excess. All that is required is for there to be just enough. I do not know if I would be able to help necessarily with a task as large as the one that you have in mind, Mr. Smith, but I could try and divulge as much as I know about proportionate alchemy if that is what you would like to know.
Hey, Jed, if you have anything to add to this, I mean, I've been equating all of this stuff to artificery in general.
Right.
I've been using bits of information and theories from my armor and the way that a lot of the weapons work. I think it's all tied together.
I believe so too, but in this way, at the very least, we don't have to worry too much about the precise minutia. All we need to do is know what we need to do. I'll have to admit, I have not really used proportionality this way before, but maybe I could help. Maybe I could divulge it, you know, like it's, as you say, artificiary. Alchemy might be the oldest, but what it is you do, or what it is I do, I suppose, when it comes down to brass tacks, it's not necessarily too different.
Well, tell me what you think of this. Look, this is the spell that that this guy used here.
Okay.
And apparently he was able to go to another place. It wasn't just like a teleportation circle. We are not on Hearth right now.
We are not. Okay.
Here in Flaris, it's kind of a different. He used the term plane.
Can I try to cast Dimension Door?
Of course.
Okay. I believe I need to be able to see the space, technically. Let me just
You've done this
double-check.
once before, right? You
Yes.
folded like a one-handed cat's cradle and
Yep.
then opened it up.
500
and then
feet.
You were somewhere else.
Place you can see, when you can visualize, or when you can describe by stating distance and direction, such as 200 feet straight downward. Holy shit. Oh, the temptation to do that and then get outside the bubble of where we are and then potentially die in space.
But you can cast it. Was the question.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna describe this to Smith. Earlier, I was able to kind of fold space around me so that Jet and I could scale that cliff. I wonder if the same properties or principles, or if I could somehow recreate that, if you could use that or learn from it, or...
Nearest I can tell, that's a branch of conjuration magic. And,
one moment, as Sykes walks away over towards his dais on the podium and starts to scribble something on the parchment, is the word. On the parchment. Sorry, as you were.
Can I dimension door him?
You...
Just need him outside.
Let me see, what does it say?
The creature must be within 5 feet of you. You can also bring one willing creature. I see. So I have
You can go.
Okay, yeah, I'll dimension door right next to him. Just to show them what it does.
It's Brother Sykes?
Yeah. He won't see me, but he'll know I'm there, I think.
Yeah.
But more so, I want Smith to see... I feel like Smith's... He's really good with theory, but when he sees something, he can try to figure out how it works. So just helping might aid him. Like doing this might aid him in some way.
Yeah, you close your hand and then you open it and you sort of fall for a second, but you catch your balance as you are next to the podium. As I think a gust of quanta probably breezes Sykes' clothing and robes, and he goes,
Are there any material components to Dimension Door?
I don't know. Let me check.
No, it's
Nope, verbal.
Yeah,
verbal. So I don't understand how she does that.
Well, from what I can tell, I think it's related to the amount of energy that is required to do this. Varsha is being the channel for the Spellwind, and the Spellwind is providing the energy. It's a certain amount of energy. Since
I don't
it's
think
only...
it's the Spellwind, though, is what I'm trying to tell you. It feels different. Feels like void magic.
Okay, but...
And I'll do it again. I'll bring the podium with me this time.
The podium comes with you as you go back to Smith?
Yeah.
As you...
I'm just like moving it, as long as it's not like anchored into the ground and I'm gonna rip it out of the ground. I'm assuming I could like move it
You
with
can
me.
You can move it.
Yeah.
The quill that is in Brother Sykes' hand is still in his hand as he
Oh no.
tries to feel around for where the podium went, but you arrive in the new location with a podium, and then an unfinished scripture of some sort of floats off of the podium.
Sorry.
Um,
And I can immediately send it back. And demolish my spell slots.
So
my spell points.
Okay. This seems to be beyond my own power, but okay. So Miss Varsha, Mr. Smith says that, well, what she is doing here is, in the absence of the Spellwind, this is somewhat similar to, at least, alchemy as the way I was taught it. But if this is free of the general laws and minutia of Spellwind and how, mages and people...
It can't be free. Energy has to come from somewhere.
Yes, of course, yes.
Maybe
everything comes at a cost.
Everything does.
The void theory, in its simplest terms, is you could, of course, gather magic, of course, being really an umbrella term here for really any sort of reality-altering effect. But if you are to use the void magic, you would be then taking it from the void being potentially anything and all things living at once and also not at all. It's
But even nothing has an energy.
Yes, and you will be taking it from that energy. There is theories, of course, saying that energy, that pool of void, also can equate somehow through, if the void was a lens, and we are unable to see through it, but if it was a lens, a murky lens, and on the other side of that lens is different realities of which you are plucking that magic from. If you alter and create something here, then somewhere else could be altering it.
All right. What did you say this person's name was again? Yathal. Yathal. Describes going to this other place. Okay, just like your dimension door, just like a teleportation circle, and it has to be a method of conjuration. It has to be. That's what has been going on this whole time. Your dimension door.
The plane shift sort of theory, yes. Where's that page? That scripture as it begins to start writing again.
If this person went to another place himself, he created the anchor for Flayrus.
Mm-hmm.
How did they get there? I'm going to start flipping through, trying to look for any notes that might be indicative of how they did this. Is there a spell?
Yeah, there is. Make me an Arcana.
Can I assist?
Yes. As you are also flipping through the page.
Am I just rolling with advantage, or are we doing
You're rolling
rolls?
with advantage, yep.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Holy shit!
27, and just to be cheeky, I'm going to go ahead and throw a Flash of Genius on top of that.
So
Yeah.
32.
Holy shit.
So that'll be a 32.
Deep in the notes of this this ancient tome, it still sort of smells of mildew, probably in an age of storage where it was not so great for books. But once you get through some of the pungent smell of mildew and also some of the jargon and some of the deciphering whatever these notes may be, you are able to, with a 32, are able to find in Yathal's notes how to properly utilize. I think you see in Yathal's notes a loose page covered in notes, but at its barest form, the instructions, a scroll, if you will, of plane shift.
Right here. This is it. This is how Yathal got there. This is the spell. This is a formula for how you do this.
Right.
What is it?
I'm reading. Give me a second.
Sorry.
And how would you then extrapolate it to then be, castle big?
More, just associated with more power.
I see.
If
proportionate alchemy again.
Wait a minute. He says here, if you know the sigil sequence of a teleportation circle on another plane of existence, this spell can take you to that circle. So if there was another teleportation circle at a location, that could be the anchor.
Okay. But if we are just sending the castle to some other plane and not just, I don't know, the void itself, then what is to stop them from coming back?
Skill? Information? The people here at Flaris have been here a long time. I don't think anybody knew about this.
I don't know enough about teleportation. The way you are able to do it now, if you knew if you knew the teleportation sigil for, let's say, a place in another plane, would you be able to take us there now, or do we have to plane shift for it?
Well, yeah, we would. At least according to these notes.
In which case, I suppose it is a huge gamble here to hope that of all the sworn within the castle, none of them have the ability to do this. That being said, as you say, this is an ancient magic, so I would cross my fingers if I had any.
But this is the formula. If we can break this down,
okay,
to its base components, just like you would with any potion, then we should be able to alter it.
Very well. Okay.
These are all components. All of the spells, everything that we have learned, it's all a component of everything else. It's all numbers. Conjuration, abjuration, they all have their own flow to them. They all have their own essence. There's familiarity in each bit of magic. If we break this spell down, we can do this. I know that we can.
I believe in you. And us? So what are we waiting for then? I think we have found our breakthrough, no?
I think so too. The only thing is the source of this power. If you're right with this shifting a plane and being able to do what Yathal did, would we be able to? You want to manipulate how the essence of Flaris is by breaking down the spell to create it, but I worry about the amount of energy you will need for something like that.
To make our own tether and make our own space. Forgive me, Brother Sykes, but why is Flaris here? I know it might sound like an obvious question.
Then I expect the more difficult question.
I take out the loose page with the spell on it and I throw the book to Jet. Start reading.
Okay.
How is it here or why is it here?
Why is Flair's Academy here?
The Spellkin Crusades.
Okay.
Yes, in its barest form, yes.
And as a result of the Crusades, they fled here, using what Mr. Smith just went through and
Correct.
described.
Yes, and of course a series of large tiers of geoloon, of these pillars of crystalline energy.
Right. And in doing so, they created this space away from there.
It's projected through the Spellwind itself and creating matter and into projecting in another space, thus creating this artificial plane in which we walk.
Okay.
Almost an exact mirror.
Right. Yet anchored so we can always come back to it. So, if the energy requirement is the concern, then and why not just swap the castle with the academy and then break the anchor?
Because it'll come back here. That's the point. The origination of origin of Flairus was here. It wasn't in the other place. So if you break the anchor, it snaps back here.
Yes.
But my theory,
okay.
My theory is that with the proper spell work, we can switch it, flip it around.
Okay. All right.
Fascinating.
I awkwardly tossed the manuscript back to Mr. Smith. And I just say, I'm at your disposal.
All right. Well, now we gotta get to work.
What first?
What?
What first? What can I do? How can I help?
Well, let's look at what we need.
Okay.
Let's break it down into the simplest components. First and foremost, our goal. God King, Loving Queen, and Creighton. We need them in Evervale Castle at a specific time. We need to execute all of this while they are there.
Okay. Grandmaster
Then,
just said that the last place you saw the Loving Queen or located her was Wyvern. With us.
Oh.
But she's not there anymore. So we might have to bait her.
Okay. That's our goal. Now it's a matter of making sure that we have a ley line. That's another thing. I've been theorizing that is the case, and it is the only thing that makes sense. So it's
I
kind
agree
of
with
an
that.
educated guess. Then we need to find a way to harness that power into some tiers of geoloon, and we need to find the right frequency for them to vibrate to send the castle to another plane. And of course we need to actually do all of the spell work, which is very difficult. So we need to break the spell down into its components and figure out what each part does and how we can change the anchor so that if the anchor is broken, the castle will go to the other place and stay there.
Okay.
I think the first thing to look at is these frequencies and how, which frequency these pillars may be vibrating to keep us projected here. If that's the case, then we know which frequency to transform or project at different location.
I wonder if we just use a bunch of different frequencies, if we can just use a tuning fork or something and change the vibration and send it someplace else.
I mean, if it's a tuning fork you need, I could possibly make well, I was thinking more dowsing rod to find a ley line, or at least to see what could possibly be the most concentrated area. I mean, so we can follow it. You said that there's a ley line in Evervale, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I could possibly work on pinpointing the exact location. We've seen before that there's a pattern, there's a trend on the maps. Now, respect to whoever the cartographer was, but we don't know for sure if that's exactly where the ley lines are or how straight they are. But
or how accurate the map is.
Correct. So I could work on that. I could work on this dowsing rod for the ley line. And we'll go with your theory of the elastic anchors.
Elastic anchors, yes.
All right, well, I can work on breaking down the spell, and maybe I can talk to some of the other professors here, and we can figure this out. I mean, if it's breaking it down to conjuration, we can figure out the different components and the different spell work here. Yeah, I mean, it's all just math, really. I don't know how much energy we'll need, or we'll have to make a rough approximation as to how big the castle is, or just how big the area is, and the area that's involved, volume.
The assumed proportionality of my alchemy means that I don't have to worry about that. At least I haven't since I was young, but I don't know if I
need to know at least the minimum, though.
Exactly. But if the energy is coming from these ley lines, then would the energy not just be infinite, or as much as this land is able to generate in the first place?
It's all just guesswork, really, Jet. We have no way to measure how much energy that is, at least that I'm aware of. Unless we know a specific amount that any of the tiers of Geoloon are able to hold.
I feel you looking at me. Don't look at me. I don't know. Would assume.
Why hasn't anybody measured that?
As a member of the Swan, you would not know if there was a depository of, I don't know, tiers of Geoloon somewhere where something like this would be banked, if it is safe to be banked.
Make a history.
So, I'm just working through the history in my head here. I'm imagining that if any tiers of Geoloon were found, that there would be some process for dealing with them. So that is what I would be trying to think about.
Flash of Genius? Would that be a thing for here?
Yeah.
You could use it.
Yeah, you can flash a genius.
Okay, I flash him for 4 more.
Okay, and so as you think of any sort of storage of the process of how tiers of Geoloon would be handled. They are very rare.
I would use the word confiscated.
And I would, yeah, exactly. And they are very confiscated. Here's exactly where I was going with. There's a high value because they do get confiscated. And I think also with that your sanctioned use of the crystals in your armor to power your armor, you would know that there is definitely a quarry or a storage place for these. It is said that there is this crucible which would melt them down or shatter them, but as far as how easily accessible it seemed for them to give you 2 crystals for your armor, seems like that may not be the case. And you would assume these would be deep under place you haven't been, the castle.
So the castle would most likely have some confiscated tiers.
Yeah.
Storage. At least that's where I heard that it went.
Would be storage. You have an idea it would be storage, but you would know that they would, or at least have been told, that they would take them down into this crucible and destroy them.
I don't know if they still exist. A lot of times, from what I know, that they would get destroyed, but I mean, they also use them. So I don't know if they're broken down into smaller pieces or what, for more compact usage like I have for my armor, or other enchanted items. But yeah, the castle.
Okay. So I guess we have 2 options then. Same location.
If this crucible is exactly what you say it is, and if it is exactly a crucible, then it may not help us at all. But there may be some residual frequencies of something we could do to potentially do this plan. But if it is, in fact, some sort of storage facility of these crystals, then that may just be what we need.
Is there any way we confirm that before we go in?
You mean like scrying there? I don't know if that's possible.
Especially not without getting noticed.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible, but getting noticed is probably the worry about. I'm uncertain.
Well, I think it's a safe bet, personally. There's somewhere, we just need to find it. Or maybe we don't need to find it at all, and we just pull from it.
I did mention earlier that if there is a ley line that could act as some sort of wick to a candle. The ley line being the wick, and the wax being the power generated from Flaris. I wonder if the flame could be Evervale.
Yeah. And then all you would need, Smith, is all you would need. I mean, then it would just be the rituals, right?
In theory, yes.
The spell itself, yeah.
Which is what that is, and
Starts to, I think, aggressively try to point toward, but also maybe flicks the page. That's that plane shift scribbled page in your hands, Smith, as the page sort of slaps the air for a second.
Oh, sorry. Is this what this is? The rituals here. You utilize this and wick what you can from Flaris, or maybe even the crucible itself. There is a good chance it can work. But also, if that isn't enough, it would need all, if I'm thinking of this correctly, and if we are going with your lightning launcher schematics idea here, all of the components of the lightning launcher needs to work, right? Is this what this contraption is? All of the components need to work in tandem for it to work successfully, yes?
Yeah. not good if it breaks, that's for sure. Takes me a while to line up all the pathways again, and...
Right. And now what about this lining of a pathway here? And he starts to then circle again. 9 U's and Evervale and Pendulum. If these are all the components of this idea, then they should be working in tandem.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we should be able to check the ley line. And... I don't know. If we have... I don't know if we'll be able to quantify how much energy it has. And even if we could, I don't know if any sort of measuring device would explode. I mean, if it does have that much power.
Well, I don't think it would if we were using proportionate alchemy. Right? Jet, yes?
Correct, yes.
If it's enough, then it's enough. It wouldn't be too much.
The way I have learned to do what I can do. Yes. However, I don't think it has ever been practiced before. This, at this magnitude, with this many people, with such disparate, eclectic groups of magic. Even if we do share a similar root, it's a long shot. But what do we have?
We have the continuation of the Crusades is really what we have, or an abrupt end. I do want to thank you all for finding me and freeing me from the swarm. It's I don't believe in much besides, of course, what I know. And there is a lot of what I know that is questionable to a lot. But I believe that there was a reason, and this may be it. So thank you all for letting me in your existence, so this reality of us planning and trying to break void theory could come to pass.
Oh, by the way, while I was doing the research on all this stuff, and brainstorming, I figured out a way to, well, it's a little off topic, but, I figured out a way to make it so that, anybody that is, and when I say anybody, I mean the Loving Queen. That if the Loving Queen is trying to divine our locations or anything about us, to give her a little gift.
And how so?
Well, I was looking at some notes from this person named Nestul. I don't know if you're familiar. I found the notes earlier. But it's a magic aura, and basically you can place an illusion on a creature or an object that you touch so that any divination spells reveal false information.
Where did you find these notes?
One of the other spires. The illusion.
Fantastic. I think it's a great idea.
So, if we do go to Evervale to pull all this off, I think I can work something up, at least for me.
It is good. I am stunned by the possibilities and the formulaic expressions here. But I think this will work.
Right. So I'll take the spell, and say to the other professors, try and break this stuff down. See if I can make sense of it all, and maybe see if I can mess with the anchor. Where's Ty?
Oh.
Was Ty not here?
No.
He walked off with the one
Let's check in with Ty. Let's see what Ty's up to, as you say. Where's Ty? The camera then shifts over to wherever the hell Ty is. Ty, what are you up to?
I'm on the beach.
Okay.
With Lane.
So romantic.
Holding his hand.
Holding his hand.
I think we probably, during this entire time, I've probably been, we were probably sparring.
Okay.
Because we had a little back and forth, but it was to test the sword.
To test the sword, exactly.
And I think maybe during the time between sessions, we probably spoke about having a proper sparring session.
When you say spoke, you mean you did.
Right, but I can speak to him.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah.
With my Professor X ability.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably arranged to go somewhere that wasn't a corridor and play fight. Really, I was just trying to get the measure of him. I can tell that he's obviously got some experience and skill, but if he's going to help us with this extremely important quest, then I need to know that he really has got what it takes.
Done what it takes, sure.
So that's probably what we were doing. There's probably a few beads of sweat on my head as I readjust the flat cap and sit back, pushing Vanahar to one side, scabbarded just in the sand. Is it sand beach?
Mm-hmm. It is.
And then just sit and look out over the water and catch my breath.
You notice,
for a minute.
What's your passive perception?
Unbelievably high, 21.
Great. What? Okay. You notice that's crazy. As you start to look just through and around the area, you start to notice on the cliffside and the rock faces around here. You start to notice that there are these interesting striations across them, as if the stone itself had different flecks of color and different rivulets that, as you would move to inspect or maybe even start to gather, that these, it's like some of the rocks even in the crags underneath the central dais here also have these interesting, looks like fossils, but they're of different colors. Whether or not Ty knows what that is, but to make sense of it all, it looks like these rock faces were made of, or at least in a blend of aged coral. As you just sort of peer out into the distance and sort of look all of this over. Lane is impatiently swinging, I think just swinging the face render back and forth the flail with a sheet, many sheets of metal with a crude bolt going through it. As Lane sort of just seems to be waiting for, or starting to swipe and push the head of the flail into the sand as it as you start to hear the thud, as also the sprinkle of the sand as it dances on other grains and starts to drag it across, and then starts to spin into different fighting styles. Still very quiet as he does. There's a lot of...
I send him a little message.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe save your energy.
What? Who's that?
Save your energy, mate.
We're trying to be agile. It's fucking boring here. Nothing to do except this, really.
Yeah,
you said you were here for how long?
A month for this.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, it weren't too bad.
A month of saving your energy? What did you do?
Almost nothing. Took the bow out a few times. Mostly I just sat around, wandered about, saw what this place was.
Saving my energy for what?
Whatever we're up to next.
What are we up to?
Well, I don't know, but either way, it's probably going to take a full-scale invasion of Evervale, so...
Don't really do invasions very well. I'd rather go in first. If we're going to invade Evervale, I want to go in first.
Well, hopefully they won't know we're coming, but I'd imagine at some point we're going to have to sneak back in, use those tunnels. You know them better than me.
Hey.
Get in there. I don't know. Whatever Spellwind bullshit Smith's cooking up.
Don't trust it?
Nah, but if we can take them out, one big spell, well, it'll turn the tide of this, whatever it is, conflict,
massacre.
War, massacre.
What do you think will happen after if it works? You think everything is gonna go hunky-dory?
No. But if we're lucky, we'll take out the king, the queen, lieutenants, generals. That dickhead Creighton.
Dickhead Creighton? He's dead. I saw it with my own eyes.
Good.
I were able to use that execution to lift your friend out of the cells.
Oh, that's what was going on, was it?
Mm-hmm. Hey.
One down.
One down, right? I didn't even have to do it.
Well, without their God King.
Treason, they said.
It'll be a little easier to sway the people, won't it? Everyone will be lost. There'll probably be chaos. Might even get worse before it gets better, but...
Sort of what it's about, I guess. Sort of what happens when you're wounded, you know? Changes you. Missing part of you, or being maimed by crusades, will change you for sure.
Yeah, I think all of us are missing a part of us. And
wonder what it's gonna look like for the land of the spine after it gets maimed. Maybe everyone will wear an iron mask and take up a flail.
Yeah, maybe. We're probably still gonna have to crack some heads, though.
Good.
I don't know, I don't know how willing you are to...
Fight?
No.
Crack
Deliver
skulls?
vengeance.
Do what?
Deliver vengeance.
I'm willing to deliver vengeance.
Good, because I'm going to cut off some hands. I'm going to cut out some tongues, some eyes.
Well, you're gonna have to find those things after they meet the face render.
Fair enough.
Hey? Let them see what it is to live like a monster, even if it's only for a couple of moments before they give up living. Quitters.
Yeah. Right, well, when we get in there, into the thick of it.
Hey.
Just, try and keep an eye on the other three. You know, should anything happen to me.
Of course.
If we can pull this thing off. I don't know what happens afterwards.
You don't either.
But if we're lucky, we've cut off the head of the snake and we can,
or tongue.
Right. But hopefully something new. Something even marginally better than this.
People just live here. They just live in this, Are we even in their place? What is this? Where all the bookheads stay and read and... What?
From what I understand, it is a place. It's just not here. Or maybe where you'd expect it to be. It's sort of the place that sits at the edge of your vision.
Weird. I hate it.
Yeah, me too, but at the moment, it's really all we've got. Unless you want to go and cross the entire spine, head down south, whatever the fuck's beyond. Too far away to reap any vengeance anyway.
I'm about to start taking my chances. They don't hurry up.
Yeah. Alright, tell you what. I'll go and see what they're up to. Maybe you can busy yourself by finding some booze.
Well, is that really what it's gonna come down to? You're gonna go ahead and start to...
And I believe you probably end the
I'm walking up the beach.
Spell. Yeah, okay, great. And then I think storming after you is also Lane, but he does peel off at some point and disappears in the grub hall. After some time, you find your way back toward the dais. Mm-hmm. Say the word you need to. And down floats the Void Spire. Friends are inside?
Walk in silently.
So, I believe we are to dispose of them, Mr. Smith.
All right. That's fine. Listen, I gotta break down this spell. I gotta speak to the other professors and see if they can give me some information. You said somebody was looking for me?
Oh, yeah, the Grand Master, yeah.
You got an ETA or what?
Not yet. Still gotta figure out all the details.
Right, how long's that take?
This is a lot of guesswork, Ty. Don't know.
Right, but are we talking hours or days or months, years?
Short as I can possibly make the time without killing everybody. How's that?
Right. Well, need anything done? Maybe I can go and do some reconnaissance. Me and Lane can pop back.
Maybe actually. We need a couple pieces of information that we don't know right now.
Okay.
We need to figure out where Loving Queen is, and Creighton, and...
Creighton's dead.
What?
What?
Yeah. Lane saw it happen. That's how he busted you out. Yeah.
Well, that's huge.
Yeah, how?
They hung him.
What?
They what?
That's what all the commotion was about.
The voice of the God King? They hung the voice of the God King?
Why?
Dunno. You'd have to ask Lane.
Who is his replacement?
Dunno. I just found out he was dead. That was good enough for me.
I can go with you.
Suppose we can go and ask some people.
Yeah.
See what the word on the street is.
Creighton is dead.
He ain't part of the spell, is he?
No. Well, I mean, he was going to be. I guess not a component.
I guess it's now easier. Maybe, potentially. I think we need to figure out why this happened first.
Yeah.
You keep working on this, Smith. We'll go find this information. What else do you need?
The ley line.
Yeah.
We need confirmation that... Well, I guess that it exists. And we need to...
Do you have any ideas on how we prove that?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Tear of Geoloon. It'll probably get blown up. You definitely shouldn't be touching it when you try to use it on the ley line.
Okay. Do we have any tears of Geoloon in the academy? Anything at all?
Well, yeah, they were part of the void machine that Brother Sykes had used.
Do we have anything that maybe perhaps could be...
sacrificed?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Because it's never been done before. I would have to sit down and think about it for a while, but much in the same way I made those items before, I could possibly make a some sort of detection wand, you know? A bit more rudimentary than I suppose you'd expect from a magical wand, but I'm thinking maybe if I just get like a small shard of Geoloon and affix it onto like a stick, we could use it and perhaps use it as a dowsing rod to find our way to one of these ley lines, and it might explode, it might not, it might glow, but it might help us find what we need to get.
Yeah.
I do have one that you could use. There are not any freely available except for what I know.
And you see as Brother Sykes makes his way over toward that device, and he picks one up off of the that platform where they sort of sit nestled in one of the inserts. He takes one out about the size of a baseball, and he then passes it over in your direction, Jet.
This is all we can really
and he would not mind losing this.
If it's a part of ending all of this, then yes.
I may not have to lose.
No, I don't.
I may not have to use all of it. I just need to use it as a material to create this wand.
Very well. Use what you need.
Okay. I would like to get down to that as soon as possible.
I'm sorry, what the fuck is a ley line? Why do we need a wand to find it?
It's a power source for the spell.
And how are we supposed to find it?
We
use
the geolune on it, right?
Right. Think of ley lines like veins in... imagine the spine is an arm and the ley lines are running down it like an artery. It is what creates all the power that I suppose makes the grass green and, all that. And, well, we need to find exactly one of these and we can use it to power the spell.
Well, we're just going to walk around until the dowsing wand goes off.
We have our maps. We have a general idea of where it's going to be. We've more or less in our journey actually triangulated where it's supposed to be. It shouldn't be too much of a hassle to find where the ley line might sit closest to the shore and then go towards Evervale and just know, using our maps, exactly where it is. Mr. Tai, are you not good with maps?
I'm perfectly fine with maps.
Right,
I've
well...
never heard of a ley line.
Okay, but maybe perhaps if you're not too busy, once we have got what we need, you can help, because I am utterly useless. When we find these locations, you could maybe perhaps mark them so that we know exactly where we're going to the city, you know? I don't know how wide ley lines are. The world is large, but magic is growing ever so fleeting. So
we need to find
knows?
one from here to there.
We know that one goes from here to there. As for where exactly it is and the direct angle of trajectory.
We have an idea, but that's it.
Okay,
but we have a pretty good idea. I imagine.
History with advantage, Jet.
A history with advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Go ahead, PB. Sorry.
Okay. Roll 20. 18.
18.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
You remember. For some reason, you keep your mind keeps going back to 9 U's. And the interaction you had with Side 6.
Okay.
And looking at the map, there is, of course, charcoal circles across various locations, some with question marks next to them, but one of them that seems to be confirmed, or at least has 2 double circles around it, is 9 U's.
So, we assumed a long time ago that Side 6, the tree person who helped us before, might be, or might have been born at one of these locations. So, we could head there first. I don't know if a ley line exists near where we are in the shorelines of Pendulum, but if it does, we could mark where it is between here and 9 U's, and then that would help us even greater to find the direction, the angle to get to where the ley line approaches the city, no?
Don't
I
have
hope
to
I'm
go
making
back to that
sense.
fucking tree, do I?
I suppose, yes.
Right. What happens if it gobbles us up again?
I suppose just don't smoke near him, he'll be okay.
Alright, so we find the ley line, we find out who replaced Creighton, make sure the God King's in the fucking castle, and then what?
I can't believe they killed Creighton. And they hung him too.
I may have seen it.
You remember, Jet, that they beheaded him.
Right. It was no hanging. It was, they cut his head off in the square.
That's even stranger.
Why? That'll do the trick, won't it?
Yeah, but, if he displeased them in some way, they would do it discreetly? He'd die in action or something. Doing it publicly implies maybe he...
Punishment.
Yeah, maybe he defected. Maybe he was... I mean, that seems far too...
Public.
But I mean, think about it, Smith. Like, if they did it publicly and took his head, it's sending a message to the rest of the Sworn. But what message? What did Creighton do?
You make a big leap saying that Creighton defected. We don't know anything.
That's what I mean. I'm just saying it would have to be something of that magnitude.
We can find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Or at least we can find out what they're saying.
Yeah.
Usually it's the opposite.
I definitely don't think he defected in any way.
If he defected, we'd know about it.
Yeah.
Or someone like Lorcan would. If Lorcan got his hands on Creighton.
It's got to be something else, but whatever it is might help us a great deal.
All right. Those are the two things, I suppose, that we need to know.
Okay.
And I guess three things now. And then I need to break this spell apart and figure out how to do it all, I guess. But I think with the help of some of the other brothers here, we can manage to get this figured out.
Are we telling Matazar?
I think at this point we probably should.
What if he tries to shut it down?
He won't. I already hinted at it, at the very least.
And maybe he can help get us some of this information. If he can save us time, then great.
He is a little bit scared at the moment. He said that he's put stuff in place to defend this place should they
Good.
come for Pendulum.
It should have always been in place.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
It would have come
And who
for them
knows what it
eventually
was.
anyway.
Maybe you should find out what that is. Because for all we know, it's a fucking bell on a string.
Yeah.
The old geezer's batshit. Alright, you tell me where to go and what to do. And I probably need to take Lane with me because he's starting to
I'm going.
get a little...
We would need to go together, but I would need some time to make this this wand.
Let me
Sometime.
Let me at least speak with the others first. Make a copy of this so they can help me break it down, and I'll do what I can and come with you.
Okay.
Alright, tomorrow then maybe.
Yeah.
Without sleep, sure, yes. Or maybe the day after, you know.
I just want something to tell Lane because he's starting to look like a bulldog.
Right, day after, it would depend on when I get down to it, but it shouldn't be that difficult. Dungeon Master, there isn't a particular item I'm trying to make here. I'm not trying to make like a wand of secrets or anything like that, which I could make in seconds. I'm just trying to narratively make a wand of leyline detection using the concepts that we've described.
Wand of magic detection.
I can make that in seconds, but
but you want to specify something,
right? Just a single-use thing that maybe perhaps exactly.
You want to alter. You want to do what Smith is doing with this scroll, but you want to do it with your theory about this wand. You want to alter it and deviate from what it is meant to do for your benefit here, which is Fine. Yeah. Go ahead and make me a Go ahead and make me an Arcana.
Okay.
As you sort of think and ruminate on ideas about this.
Only a 4. 10, sorry.
10.
Yes.
It'll take you a couple of days.
Okay.
You would think. I'm sorry, maybe not a couple of days, but a couple of hours for certain. After you create the wand of magic detection, you're going to then need to alter it. And that may be various different things to do. But you will have, roll me a d4.
Okay. Roll 1d4. 1.
1. You will have 1 charge on this after you start to... Once you transmog and deviate from your regular magic detection wand, it will only have 1 charge, but it will be one that is 100% certain.
Well, once we find the ley line, it should be okay. Then I can maybe perhaps just use a normal wand of magic detection.
Yeah.
It'd have the signature.
Yeah, that should work.
Okay.
All right.
I also don't want to use the entire orb for this because, if possible. I don't want to use up his resource.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yep.
Yes.
Jet.
Yes.
So I started to work on something for you too. Yeah. I took the measurements for your arm.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I'll work something out before we go. Might help speed things up a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go get to work now.
All right, I'll try and be quick and make the rounds here.
Okay.
Those all. Find somewhere to sit.
Varsha, what's going through your mind?
It's nice to see Jet excited about something. About working on a problem and figuring it out.
Yeah.
It's a little bit strange, but wonderful to see Smith coming up with a crazy fucking plan. Because in episode 1 or, the first little bit when I said, let's blow up the fucking mountain, he was like, are you kidding me? That's insane. And now he's like, let's blow up the castle. And it just feels like, Smith in episode 1 would never have done that.
Yeah.
And it's like crazy to see how he has grown. And poor Ty just feeling like he's got to do something.
Yeah, antsy.
Yeah, he's just antsy, which is a cute. Yeah, that's it.
It is a cute. Yeah, as I think you take all this in, Varsha, and you sort of, however you may react by looking at Smith, as Smith is divulging into these notes, and I believe there's also still Sykes, who's looking through some of his notes and feeling through some of the pages, and I think in the back corner of this room, there's Jet holding the crystal, but also looking through these shelves, much like an elementary lab, where there's a whole bunch of equipment, but not sure which or how to use any of it. But there is something here that will help, as Jet is trying to find something that will maybe help deviate, whether it be a couple of other plates with different runic circles on it, or whether it be some sort of Bunsen burner type situation. There has to be a way to break down the material, and you're sort of watching this sort of go through the mind of Jet as Jet is trying to figure out how to alter this item that he plans to create. As then you look over toward Ty, who is relaxing and I guess casually, I shouldn't say relaxing, casually smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, I'll go over and probably spend time with Ty because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As and you know, in his mind, he may look on the surface right now, in the iceberg that is Ty's brain, that it is. He seems to be bored and casually smoking, but there is definitely something boiling under the surface. Not necessarily bad, but there's definitely activity there. And you could tell by how he looks at the cigarette and how he looks up at you. And I think that is where we are going to end tonight's episode. I got excited and pressed so many buttons. Hi, everybody. We're back. I think there's audio. Is there audio? There's audio.
Check.
Okay, sorry about that. We had wacky, weird technical difficulties in the middle of that.
Don't blame it on me.
I'm gonna blame it on. It was so wacky, and I'm not sure why it was. I'm not even sure what Steven happened, but it was something wacky. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. We're going to go around and chat about the episode and stuff. I hate shout-outs. I'm so bad at them. Let's go over to Whack.
Hi, everybody. I'm Wank Steven. Thank you so much for joining us today. I played Smith for you. Hopefully you had a good time. I've loved making Smith's little journey through something that he actually enjoys doing, and he probably does not actually realize that he is actually enjoying this.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting thing to play, and it was the only way that I imagined I could take Smith so that he would kind of find happiness in his own way.
Yeah.
Because he's not looking for it.
Yeah. It's just like one of those things where he, wakes up in 6 months and goes, "Oh my God, I'm actually satisfied with what I'm doing." I mean, assuming the plan goes well and nobody dies.
Yeah, a lot of ifs there. But he's pretty, he's always been a confident guy.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of he feels like he understands how all this stuff works. It's just a matter of putting everything in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his approach to life. Like, I guess if you can break everything down into these smaller problems, then you can actually tackle them. So that's what I've been trying to do with him. And I hope you've enjoyed it. And, trying to do a lot of problem solving, I guess. This is a lot of, mental gymnastics here to make all this stuff work.
It was a lot of fun doing
my best.
Magic and science theory today. It was super fun to just be like, okay, how is this going to work? Which helped me a lot too.
Maximum brain power, by the way. It's
I have to
turn it up to 12.
That's what was happening to me too. It was a lot of fun to figure out. And,
the Doc Brown thinking cap thing. I was like, yes, that is exactly
what's happening right now.
That's what's happening.
There was a lot. There was a lot to think about and to go on. And it was really helpful for me because I needed to figure out. Like, I know where we kind of want to go with this, but how we are going to get there and what that means.
I'm trying to convince I'm trying to convince Myth, and Smith is trying to convince Brother Sykes at the same time.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
Parallel roads there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So that was fun. And yeah, I do a bunch of stuff here on Tablestory. I run another 2 shows. 100 Club on Mondays. That is a dark comedy. It's sci fantasy. And we're kind of like nearing the end of that show. So make sure you check that out. We are in the middle of a big race. That is a lot of fun. Make sure you check that out on Mondays at 4 p.m. Eastern. And on Thursdays, tomorrow, we are doing Ashes of Eriador, which is Lord of the Rings inspired One Ring system adventure. Make sure you check that out. PB's on that too, as well as Meyer and Murgles and Aaron Black and Fairlight Excalibur. Go check that out. That's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Should be great. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Meyer, go next.
Hey, hello, my name is Meyer, and I played Jet today. And today was a really, a lot of just steam coming out of my ears, even when I wasn't on camera, just thinking about stuff. So I apologize if I'm just like, even when I'm on camera, I'm just like, okay, but what if the magic doesn't work? Oh no. But yeah, I'm looking forward to where this goes and what the team are going to discover as we move on down towards Evervale and to yeet the God King and his wife into space.
I want that to happen so bad.
Yeah, me too. Holy shit.
It seems it's just ever since it was brought up, I was like, that's awesome. So.
Yeah, you can find me at twitch.tv/Meyer, where I'm doing gaming news nowadays, as well as following the development of Star Citizen, and in the nights we do Wild RP stuff. So it's 4 p.m. UTC for news stuff, and 12 p.m. at midnight UTC for Wild RP stuff. It's the time. And yeah, otherwise you can find me here on Tablestory on Tuesdays, where I'm on Kingmakers at 9 p.m. UTC with PB and a whole bunch of cool people. Today is Wednesday, of course, for Spellwind. Thursdays we have Ashes with Whack, and that's it from me. And Brad.
Perfect.
Hello there, my name is Brad. I wasn't in this one much, but it was
nope, just weren't here.
Good idea, because there is nothing that Ty can really do. He also hates the Spellwind, and I don't think has any interest in listening to them calculate this spell. I don't think he even knows if he has faith in the spell working, even if they figure it out. He's kind of expecting this to be a situation where they're going to run into this thing, try and do it, it's not going to work, and they're going to have to try and cut off a bunch of heads anyway. But he's also just kind of still just in his own head, furious and bloodlusted. And also, Ty fucking hated that forest with Site 6. Like Brad knows that it wasn't as horrific, but Ty was...
It was a pretty bad experience.
It was horrific. He had the fire,
and
then everyone got eaten by a tree. And
Yep.
it was horrific for him. So having to go back and face that. I almost rolled a deception check. I just didn't want to distract everyone. When you mentioned going back to it, I was literally just like, I should maybe roll a deception to see whether Ty is if he keeps his cool and he's still just like, yeah, whatever. But really he's like, fuck, I don't want to go back there.
Make a cool roll.
Yeah, but I have a plus 11 in deception, so I thought, fuck it. He
That's true. 21.
Yeah. Because he spent his whole life lying to the Sworn, ain't he? No idea what you're talking about, governor. I don't know what you're saying. He stabs him.
That's Ty. We all know Ty.
Yeah, but this was fun to observe the spell coming together. And yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious about what happens next time, how we pull everything in, do this spell. My name is Brad. Don't worry about anything that I'm streaming, because there's a new show on Sunday this week on Tablestory, which is GM'd by me. It also has 2 of these wonderful people in. My favorite 2 people here, Wax Steven and Maya, are in
I fucking knew it, dude.
Show, as well as
soon as you said favorite people, I was like, oh boy, here it comes.
So if you want to see a Star Wars, it'll be a Fantasy Flight Games or the Genesis system.
The cast has finally been revealed.
The cast has finally been revealed. There's been no secrets about this show the entire time, and I don't know why everyone's been acting like it's like, oh, I'm going to find out something about it. There's really no secrets about it. It's just...
This is where they're all like, really? It's not going to be them. We're going to go in there, and it's going to be a completely different cast.
Did imagine, yeah, how funny would that be?
It's going to be the Marvel Universe.
So much effort. So much effort, and all the artwork and everything, you know, to make it look like you guys, but it's not. Yeah, just was completely different people. But yeah, there's a Star Wars show. It's called Rise of the Apprentice, and it starts on Sunday at 9 p.m. UK time, which is 4 p.m. Eastern. So tune in if you want to see some Star Wars stuff. Don't worry if you don't know the system. No one does, not even us.
Yeah.
So tune in on Sunday for the premiere of that, or catch it on all of the VODs and things on YouTube and stuff. All right, that's it. Bye.
Hell yeah.
PB's
Bye, thank you. PB.
Hi, I'm here on Tuesdays GMing Kingmakers, which is like a reverse isekai. Is that right, Whack? Where our knights in shining armor got transported to Manhattan, and you should totally watch it because it's fucking awesome. And
wow,
yeah,
spoilers.
Totally, absolutely. Well, I mean, just yeah, well,
massive spoilers.
Yeah, massive spoilers.
Ruined it.
Whatever.
Don't bother
you should come and
watching
watch it. It's fucking great. And then what else? Oh yeah, and they all said Wednesdays, Thursdays, but new show. Play the trailer. Who cares about what I'm doing? That's it.
All right.
I gotta go. Bye.
And me. Okay. All right. And I have to play the trailer. Bye, everyone.
Way to go,
Shout out
PB.
first.
PB played an executive order card.
She's forcing me to do it.
Order 66.
Execute the trailer.
Shit.
And it's not even playing. Love that. Cool.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Search your feelings. Your ideals live within you. Let them burn as bright as a star in the vastness of space. Long after I am gone, I hope my ideals will burn just as brightly as a guiding star for you, my Padawan, and that they guide you to greater ideals, that you might in turn leave behind your own ideals to guide the next generation. I sense our darkest night is still yet ahead of us. Before we see the end of this war, let those ideals guide you. Be a beacon through these dark times. For after every long dark night, there will always be a bright new dawn. There is balance in all things. Always. And of course, if in doubt, trust the Force.
Are you familiar with the Theramon boy?
He mused aloud.